everyone, I am Vibha Chauhan and welcome to Jai Hind Classes from the Clear. So today I will explain class 8 Geography chapter 4 and our chapter is Agriculture. So as the name suggests, in this chapter we will discuss about agriculture. We will discuss about the types of agriculture or farming. We will discuss about the major crops that are grown in this chapter, and we will also discuss about the development in the fields of agriculture. So all these things we are going to study in this chapter. So first of all, let us discuss about something. So you know that from a plant a transformation of plant is done. You know that transformation of plant is done to a finished product, and in doing so there are three stages that are primary activities, secondary activities and tertiary activities. Now primary activities, that is extraction and production of natural resources, that is related to natural resources, and some of the examples of primary activities are agriculture or gathering or fishing. So these are the examples of primary activities that are related to the extraction and production of natural resources, that means growing crops, growing plants. Now there is second stage, that is secondary activities. Now in secondary activities what we do is that we make processing of those things in the primary activities. For example, manufacturing of steel, weaving of cloth. So these are the processing of those items that were in the primary activities, that is we have grown some crops in the primary activities. Now in secondary activities we are processing it, we are making some item from it, and next is tertiary activities. So tertiary activities are any activities that are related, that support primary and secondary activities. For example, if a bank is giving loan to them, then it would also be tertiary activities, or transport and trade are also good examples of tertiary activities. So in whole market, in whole economic business, there are three stages, that are primary activities, secondary activities and tertiary activities. Now agriculture is one of the primary activities, that is raising crops, raising flowers, fruits, vegetables and rearing livestock. And agriculture, you know, that comes from a Latin word, two Latin words, that are agri plus culture. Agri means soil and culture means cultivation, that we are cultivating soil and growing crops. So that is agriculture. And 50% of the world's population is dependent on agriculture. You might have not observed it, but 50% of the whole population of the world is dependent on agriculture, and 2/3 of the India's population is still dependent on agriculture. So you can say that majority of the population of India is dependent on agriculture. So how important agriculture is. Now there are many other words related to the term agriculture, that are, so if we say that agri plus culture, it would become agriculture, and if we ask the definition of agriculture, then it would be the science and art of raising crops and rearing livestock. Now you know that science, we use technology in agriculture as well, and art, like we harvest it, so it is a human art. So science and art of raising crops and rearing livestock is called agriculture. Now next is sari plus culture, and it would become sericulture. Now one of the points is less, that is agriculture is also called as farming. Now we are discussing about sericulture. So sericulture means that the commercial rearing of silkworms. Sari, it is for the silkworms, and culture means cultivation. So commercial rearing of silkworms for the sale in the market, because from the silkworms what we get is that we get silk. So from the silk is sold in the market, so then it will be for commercial purpose. So sericulture means the rearing of silkworms for commercial purpose and for the income of the rearer of silkworms. Now next word is PC plus culture, and then it would become pisciculture. Pisciculture means that you are rearing fishes. You know that fishes are stored in the artificial tanks and in artificial ponds. Now they are reared, they are stored by persons, they are stored by the cultivators, and then after that they are sold. So they are also stored in artificial tanks and in artificial ponds, and we call it pisciculture. Now next is viti plus culture, and it would become viticulture. Viticulture means the cultivation of grapes. So you know that grapes are grown in vineyard, so viticulture means the cultivation of grapes. Now next and last is horti plus culture, and it would become horticulture. Horticulture means the growing of vegetables, fruits and flowers. So now we have seen that from the word culture there are many words that can be made, like agriculture, sericulture, horticulture, viticulture and pisciculture. Now you have to remember this, because in exams there may be questions in this. So we have discussed about agriculture and terms related to agriculture. Now next we will discuss about farm system. Farm system. So you know that we call farming also the agriculture. Agriculture is also called as farming, and agriculture or farming can be looked at as a system. You know that there is a farm system for farming. There are inputs and then processing and then outputs. Now inputs, in computer lessons you might have heard these words, these terms. Now input here means that we are giving what we are giving, like seeds, like fertilizers, like manure. These are the things that were input that we are giving to them. Now processing, you know that there is process of growing crops, then it would be processing, like sowing, like irrigating. These are the processing, and now output will be the produce, like the crops. So this is a farm system. In farm system what there is that inputs like machinery, like chemical fertilizers, pesticides, these are inputs, and then there would be processing, and then there would be output. Now we have talked about the human inputs. Now we will talk about physical inputs as well, because you know that for agriculture the major factors are topography of that land and the condition of soil is the most important. These two factors are the most important, and there are physical inputs as well, like the sunshine. You know that for growing crops sunshine is also as much important as for the crops, and there are many factors like the rainfall. You know that some crops take more rainfall, need more rainfall, and some less rainfall. So rainfall is one of the most important input as well, physical input, not human input. And there are many physical input like sunshine, like rainfall, like soil, like the slope. There are many things, there are many inputs, physical as well as human inputs. Then there will be processing of crops, and then there would be outputs. Outputs mean that the produce of from those plants or crops. So this is farm system that we have looked at. Now next is types of farming. So types of farming. Now farming can be classified into two types based on geographical conditions, based on level of technology, based on labor, how much labor you are working for, you are using. So farming can be classified into two types, that are subsistence farming and commercial farming. Subsistence farming means that you are farming, you are doing agriculture to fulfill your family's need. Now subsistence farming is practiced to fulfill the needs of the farmer's family, and there is a use of less technology and labor in subsistence farming. And subsistence farming can be further classified into two types, that are intensive farming and primitive farming. Intensive farming means that a farmer is growing crops in a small plot of land, and he is growing to fulfill his family's need, and the condition of that region, of that land is like that in 1 year he can grow more crops, like not just one crop, he can grow 2 crops, 3 crops and more crops. And the main crop for the that main crop is rice, and other crops that are grown on that land are maize, like pulses. These are the other crops that are grown on that land, and this is generally practiced in the region of South and East and Southeast Asia. So these are the regions where intensive subsistence farming is practiced. Now next type of subsistence farming is primitive farming, that can be further classified into shifting cultivation and nomadic herding. Shifting cultivation, that is also called as slash and burn cultivation. Now shifting cultivation, what we do is it is generally practiced in the region of Amazon basin, in the region of tropical rainforest. Now what we do is that what farmers do is that suppose there is a plot of land and there are so much trees grown on that plot of land. Now what people do is that they will cut all the trees down and burn all the trees, and the ashes of those trees will be mixed up with the soil to make that soil fertile, more and more fertile, and then the crop will be grown, the farming would be done. And when the land loses its fertility, they shift to another plot of land and do the same thing. That is why it is called as shifting cultivation, because in this process farmers always shift from one place to another place, because if they shift from one place to another place, then on the first plot of land there would be grown more and more trees, and then they would continue their procedure. So that is what is called as shifting cultivation. They would generally cut the trees and mix the ashes to the soil, and then would grow the crops. And it is also called a slash and burn activity, slash and burn cultivation. And in Northeast India it is also called as zooming cultivation. It is known as with many names all over the world. There are many names for shifting cultivation, and it is generally practiced in the Northeast India, in the East Asia, in Amazon basin and tropical rainforest. Now these are the reasons where mainly shifting cultivation is practiced. Now next is nomadic herding. Now nomadic herding means that people just roam here to there, visit different places to rear their livestock, to rear their animals. They carry many animals with them, mostly goats, camels, yak. These are the animals that are generally used. Now they carry their animals with themselves and just visit places, just roam here to there. They would just they are like nomads. You know what nomads means. So nomadic herding means that there are herdsmen who carry their animals with them and just visit different places, and it is generally practiced in the region of Rajasthan and in the region of India, like Jammu and Kashmir. It is generally practiced in the arid and semi-arid regions of the world, like in the Sahara Desert. You know that in Sahara Desert the temperature is very high, so because of that people keep visiting different places, people keep roaming from different places to another places to carry their animals. And why do they carry their animals? Because animals provide them with many things, like meat, like milk, like hides, like skin, like wool. These are the things that they can get from the animals. So that is what is called as nomadic herding. Now we have seen the first type of farming, that is subsistence farming. Now next is commercial farming. Commercial farming means that there is a very large plot of land, there is so much land, and you are growing crops for the purpose of selling it into the market. You know that you are selling it into the market for the income, you are earning money from them, you are doing kind of business through the crops. So commercial farming is for the sales of crops. First you would grow them and then you would sell them. Now for the commercial farming, a very high technology energy is used and a large number of labor are also used. Mostly the work is done by machineries, but some crops are for the labor are used. For some crops labor are used. Now commercial farming can be further classified into commercial grain farming, mixed farming and plantations. Now, commercial farming can be further classified into three types, and our first is commercial grain farming. Commercial grain farming, that is commonly is grown wheat and maize. Commonly grains are grown, and these are particularly grown in the temperate grasslands of America, of North America and Asia and Europe. Now, these are the areas where commercial grain farming is used. Commercial grain farming is done, and mostly the grains are grown, and you know that wheat and maize are the commonly grown in the commercial grain farming. And because of the severe winters, only a crop is grown at a time. Now one crop can be grown at one time, so that is what is called as commercial grain farming. Now next is mixed farming. Mixed farming is that you are using that land for the purpose of food, for further crops and for the rearing livestock, rearing animals. Now you see that in mixed farming the land is used for different purposes at the same time. That is why it is called as mixed farming, because you are mixing different types. You are growing further crops, you are growing food, you are rearing livestock, you are rearing animals. So that is what is called as mixed farming, and it is generally done in the areas of eastern USA, in Argentina, in many countries. There are many countries that in those countries mixed farming is done. And next and last is plantation. Now what we do in plantation is that plantation means that you are growing a crop, you are growing a plant in the whole land, and mostly those plants are cotton, tea, coffee, and there are many more like banana. These are the mostly that are grown, because you see that in the commercial grain farming what we are growing was a crop, and in mixed farming as well there were crops. Once you pick them, you have to sow seeds again. But in plantations what we do is that we make plants, we plant trees. You know that banana plantations, cotton plantations, tea plantations, coffee plantations, there are many more plantations, and one crop is grown at a time, one plant is planted at a time. And now for the further processing they are done in the farm itself or in the nearby factories, and mostly these plantations are done in the countries like rubber in Malaysia, like coffee in Brazil, and tea in India and Sri Lanka. Now these are the major plantations of the world. Now we have discussed about the types of farming. There are two types of farming: subsistence farming and commercial farming. You see that subsistence farming is commonly done in the developing countries that are developing, that are not developed, and commercial farming is severely done in the regions in the developed country that have developed. So now that we have discussed about the types of farming, now we will discuss about the major crops. You know that the crops play a very important role to fulfill for the population, for the growing population. You know that crops, how important they are, and they also supply to the agro-based industries. Agro-based industries, you know that are based on the raw materials, raw crops, and major crops include wheat, rice, maize, millets. Now these are the major crops, grains. And now jute and cotton are the fiber crops that are used for clothing, that are used for making clothes or making cloth items. And now the best beverages are tea and coffee. Now these are the beverages of the world, most important beverages, tea and coffee. Now we will discuss them one by one. So first is rice. So you know that rice is the most stable diet of the tropical and subtropical regions of the earth. Rice is the most stable diet, and it needs to grow crops. What you need is that high temperature, high humidity and high rainfall as well. Now you know that the conditions are very kind of hassle in a kind of mess. You know that for growing rice you need very much rainfall. For growing rice you need very much humidity as well. And for the rice, you know that the major productions of rice are in the countries of China, followed by India, and there are many more countries like Japan, like Sri Lanka. These are the countries, and Egypt as well. Now you might be thinking that Egypt, that is a very dry country, but you know that the longest river of the world, Nile, is in Egypt. So Egypt is also one of the countries that produce rice. So for rice, high temperature, high humidity and high rainfall are needed. And rice is generally, you know that in India it is also grown. In India, in a very large amount, it is also grown. So now next crop is wheat. So wheat is also one of the major crops of the world. Now to grow wheat, what you need is that moderate temperature and rainfall when it is growing, and bright sunshine when the time is for harvesting wheat. Now you might be a little bit confused. Now let me discuss. So for when it is growing, when it is not ready for harvesting, there should be, it needs moderate temperature and moderate rainfall. But when it is ready for harvesting, for ripening, there should be bright sunshine for its growing. Now in India, it is grown in winter season, because you know that in the winter there is a kind of moderate temperature in the month of October and November, and then when it's time for its harvesting in the month of March and April, then there would be bright sunshine in India. So in India, it is generally grown in the months of winter, and wheat is extensively grown in countries like USA, like in Argentina. There are many more countries like China as well, in India as well. There are many countries that are the producers of wheat. So wheat is a kind of grain that needs fertile soil and a kind of well-drained loamy soil to grow it. You need a kind of loamy soil to grow wheat. Now next crop is millets. Millets. So millets are also known as coarse grains. Coarse grains, as you know that what they are. So millets are also known as coarse grain. And now to grow it, you know that for growing millets, you don't need any kind of fertile soils. If it is a less fertile soil, then it is okay with millets. It needs less fertile soil and less rainfall for its growing, and it also needs high to moderate temperature for its, you can say that, for its growing. So you can see that the demands for growing millets is very less than that of rice and wheat, because in case of rice you see that it needs high temperature, it needs high humidity and as well as high rainfall, but the demands of millets are less than that ones. So it needs less fertile soil, less rainfall and a kind of high to moderate temperature. And in India, the millets that are grown are bajra, jowar and ragi. These are grown in India, and other countries where they are grown are China, Nigeria and Niger. So these are the countries where this crop is grown. Now next is maize. Maize, that is also one of the major crops. So for growing maize, what you need is for moderate temperature. There should be moderate temperature and lots of sunshine. So to growing crops, now this crop maize, you should have a kind of lot of sunshine there on the land. There should be a kind of lot of sunshine and as well as moderate temperature. Now maize is also known as corn, and they are found in different colors. You might have not seen them in different colors, but there are different colors in which corn or maize, anything you can say, can be found. So maize are kind of crop like that. And the countries that are the leading producers of corn are North America, Russia, Canada, Brazil, Mexico and India as well. Now next crop is cotton. cotton, that is also important for the cotton textile industries. Now cotton needs a high and warm temperature, it needs high temperature, and it needs frost-free days, 210 frost-free days. That means you know that there are snowy areas, there are frost in the months of winter. So in months of winter it doesn't need any kind of frost, it needs 210 degrees that are frost-free days. Now this is a condition for growing cotton. You know that cotton is used for cotton textile industries to make your clothes, and it needs high temperature, well-drained, fertile soil, and it is grown best on black and alluvial soils. This is the most suitable land. Black and alluvial soils are the most suitable land for growing cotton. And the countries that are the leading producers of cotton are India, Pakistan, Egypt, Brazil, and China as well. Now these are the countries where cotton is produced in large amount. Now next crop is jute. So jute is our next crop, and it is also called as golden fiber. You know that cotton and jute are fiber crops, but jute is called as golden fiber because you know that its color is a kind of golden, so it is called as golden fiber. Now it needs, you know that, a very heavy rainfall and humid temperature. The climate should be high humidity, and with a heavy rainfall. That is a condition for jute. And jute is used for many purposes, you know that, for making, you know that, sacks, for making many things jute is used. And the countries that are the leading producers of jute are India and Bangladesh. Now these are the countries that are the leading producers that are suitable for producing jute. Now next crop is coffee. Coffee is our next major crop, that is also a beverage of the world. You know that you might have drunk it, so that is what is called as coffee. Now it is grown on plantations, as you know, and the most suitable for it is that wet warm condition, wet warm climate. There should be wet and warm climate for coffee, and sunshine as well. There should be sunshine and wet warm climate for coffee. And the most suitable land for growing coffee is the hill slopes of the hills mountains. Now the slopes of hills and mountains are the most suitable for growing coffee, because you know that because of the slopes water runs into their roots, not into their leaves. So because of that, the most suitable land for growing coffee are the slopes of hills and mountains. And the countries that are the leading producer of coffee are Brazil, Colombia, and India as well. Now next and last major crop is tea. So tea, as you know that, one of the most common drink in India. So tea is also kind of major crop that is used all over the world. Now tea needs a very cool temperature for it and the sunshine as well, because you know that the leaves of tea are very tender. So it needs for its all growing time a very cool temperature and lots of sunshine as well. So to make their leaves more and more tender, and there should be moisture in their leaves for the further processing as well. So tea needs a kind of very cool temperature and a kind of sunshine, and it is mainly grown in plantations. You know that for growing tea a very large number of labor are needed. For growing coffee and as well as tea, a large number of labor are needed, because you know that in coffee and in tea we have to pluck them. We have to pluck the coffee berries and we have to pluck the tea leaves, so that can't be cut down with the machine. So labor are needed in a very large number. So this is about the tea. And the countries that are the leading producers of tea are India and Sri Lanka. Now you know that India and Sri Lanka are the leading producers of tea for the high quality tea. Their tea is, you know that in India there is a region of Assam, it is Darjeeling. In Darjeeling the best tea is grown. So that is about the major crops. We have discussed about about the major crops, what they are, and we have discussed some of the major crops of all the world. Now these are the major crops. There are many crops above them, apart them, but they are not the major crops. They are not a kind of stable diet of the world. So that we have discussed about major crops. So now our next and last topic of this chapter is agricultural development. Agricultural development. So what do you mean by agricultural development? Agricultural development here refers to the development in the field of agriculture. You know that the condition of agriculture, how is it? So for the development of those conditions of farming or agriculture, we need to take some steps. You know that government has taken some steps. Now we have to, you can say that we have to make a good quality of agriculture. We have to empower the field of agriculture as well. Now there have been taken steps to you can say that improve the quality of agriculture. Now you can say that for the improving quality of agriculture, what we have done is that increase the cropped area. Now we have to increase the land of crop or to grow crops, because you know that in the whole world the population is ever growing, and because of the demands of those growing populations, we have to increase our agriculture land as well. Because if it is not done, then how would we get crops, and then how would you eat your daily item, your daily food, because they also come directly or indirectly from the crops. So we have to increase the cropped area as well. We have to increase a variety of crops that are grown on a land. We have to grow more and more crops on a land at the same time. That would be helpful to us. And there are a kind of high yielding variety of seeds that are also called as HYV seeds. So many people are using it nowadays. That they have become more and more popular nowadays. And technology is a kind of next factor, because technology is also important for agriculture. Mechanization is a kind of next thing that should be done in field of agriculture. For the agricultural development, machineries, mechanization is a kind of very important step, and pesticides, chemical fertilizers are also being used nowadays. Now we will see some case study, a farm in USA and in a farm in India, the differences between them. We will compare them. Now as I have said that the developing countries that are developing, that have not developed, mostly do the intensive subsistence farming. You know that mostly the developing countries do the subsistence farming, are mostly the intensive ones, and the developed countries like USA, Australia, what they do is that they do commercial farming. So you have to remember this, because there can be questions on them. So our subtopic is a farm in India. So a farm in India. Now there is given a kind of case study that is of a village of district Ghazipur in the state Uttar Pradesh of India. Now there is a farmer, that is Munna Lal, who is a farmer, and his land is of 1.5 hectares. He has a land of 1.5 hectares and he do farming on that land. Now he do farming of rice or wheat. Generally 1 or 2 crops he can grow at a time. He would grow like grains like wheat or rice, or otherwise he would grow pulses. Now he buys HYV seed, that are high yielding of variety seeds. He buys them in alternate years and he grow crops every year. He grow crops for his family needs. He grow crops for his family needs, to fulfill the needs of his family. And if the crop is left, then he would sell it to the mandis. Mandis, you know, that a kind of market where the produce, where the output is sold of crops. Now there he sells it, and whenever he wants to take advice, he take advice from elders of the villages. He take advices from the government officials, and he is also a member of cooperative society. Now what do you mean by cooperative society? Cooperative society means that many farmers make a kind of association for them, and all the output of those most farmers are stored at a place and then they would sell to a customer, to a wholesaler, and would get a very good price for it, because if they sell individually, then there would be less price for them. But if they are selling it kind of all gatherings, then there will be a little bit more money for them, more capital for them. So that is, he is also a member of cooperative society, and whenever he wants to take advice, he takes advice from those members as well. And now he lacks the storage development. He has no warehouse or kind of any place to store his output. He lacks the storage development, and because of that he is forced to sell in the mandis at a very low price, because he can't store it at his place. Now what will he do? It would just be rotten crops, so he has to sell in the mandis at a very low price. So that is the condition of an Indian farmer. And he also has some goats and hens, and the products of those goats like milk and eggs, he sells it in the nearby market and gets some money. So this is the condition of a farmer in India. Now we will discuss about a farm in USA. Farm in USA, that is also kind of case study of Joe Horan, who is also a farmer in USA. So basically, you know that in USA, basically the land of farmers is always around or above 250 hectares, and you know that there is a very much gap difference between the Indian farmer land and this USA farmer land, because Joe Horan owns 300 hectares of land. You know that 300 hectares, and what Munna Lal was owning was just 1.5 hectares. So there is difference. So Joe Horan owns 300 hectares of land and he do farming on that. Now he send his soil samples to the laboratory to check the conditions of that soil, whether it is fertile, how much nutrients is needed. But as you know that in India there is lack of awareness. People don't send their sand sample to the laboratories. There is no kind of this tradition in India. So in USA, farmer Joe Horan, what he does is that he just simply sends sample to the laboratories, and then he would get the result of his soil. And after that, what he will do that his computer is linked to the satellites, so he can get the precise photos of his fields, and he owns that kind of hectares land, so he can see everything in just computer from the satellite images. So you see that his produce is lot, his output is very much than that of India's farmer. His land is very much bigger than that of India's farmer. So you can say that USA's farmer is doing a work like a businessman, not just like a peasant farmer. So there is a difference between Indian farm and USA farm. Now there is lack of awareness in India. As you know that there are no such tradition, there are no such technology in India as there were in farms of USA. So this is all about we have discussed in this chapter about agriculture. Now we have discussed about the types of agriculture, about the major crops, about the developments in the agriculture fields. So we have discussed everything about it. We have discussed different types of things in this chapter. So this is all about the chapter. I have discussed all topics and subtopics, and I'll be covering next chapters in further videos. So thank you very much.